second home map for Shelty is gonna be Oasis. Well, we have seen on the starting window that Shelty is going to be coming back to his favorite set on a map like this, which definitely makes sense. But he's going to be facing quite a bit of challenge right now in the face of, rather, in Zeus in there. Well. Let's see around the map then. Hagrit's map seems to be alrightish. He's having the gold at the back, so that's alright. Otherwise, the gold is mainly in the middle, especially for him. Even though this is kind of nice, the TC on the right. The one on the left doesn't do anything all that much. It's just defensive TC. But the one on the right I really like for the sole reason that when he captures it, he's going to be controlling this gold, and halfway this gold. Wow, that's a lot of food for him as well. So if he does scout this properly, which he unfortunately won't because he's right now moving onto the wrong side. Or is he? Right now coming back, it's nice. Getting some goatee, looking at the gold in there, which is kind of close by, but a bit trickier because of the... Well, that's a funny TC position for the opponent. And the relic is for a better villager farming rate. That's a good one. That's a very sweet one. He has at least discovered, I think, the food. Maybe, just maybe some monkeys. Don't exactly think. Rather, remember if he went there all that much. Otherwise, right now, he's exactly scouting at the right moment. And he's going to be seeing, of course, this is nice for him. Because he can place a granary here to use on the lions. And then switch into the berries. That's going to be sweet for him. Especially if he goes a bit more to the north to discover all the giraffes in there. That's definitely gonna help him quite nicely. Right now he's still moving around, but he already is in the zebras, and quite a lot of them. So he should be having husbandry, or god damn it, the other way around, hunting dogs. Starting at the same combination of letters. And for the opponent, who is on the zebras as well, he seems to be quite comfortably on the hunting dogs as well, of course. Having some berries inside, but that's the same for the opponent as well. Otherwise, he has discovered at least some monkeys, which he's right now stealing for him to help him in a bit of scouting. He's having some lions in there as well. And on the right, the giraffes already moving onto them. So yep, it seems like slightly better for Shelty as far as the scouting goes. But he has already found the giraffes as well. I'm talking about Hagrit. So yep, seems to be quite a fair map for both players. As far as the second rally goes, that's battle line of units for units. Rather, battle line of sight for units. Very good. Very good relic indeed, not to underestimate, always a must pick, because +6 is like a huge difference, especially if you are raiding with some horses or whatnot, so it would be pretty important for Hagrit. He's gonna be using Hippicons, of course, as a Zeus, there's not really much of a doubt about that, unless he will be brave in some kind of Athena rush, which I don't really expect, based on how the games went. And the golds are in pretty good positions in there, but it has to be said that Shelty will be more tempted on the left side to capture this gold, and potentially these two in the front, which are kind of not favorable for him all too much because of the TC position. So it's kind of better for Hagrid the map, even though the golds are close. And the lacking protection is going to be always tricky, and it's going to be open for Hagrid to raid upon as he pleases. Looking at the pond, looking at all of this, it just reminds me of the 1 hour game between Dean and Bokau, I think. Everybody who remembers that will know what I'm actually talking about. That's what can happen on a map like this. And those who don't can probably be asking in the chat, because that's a fun map. Fun game that I have actually cast, and I haven't really put up on YouTube yet. You can find it somewhere about maybe even 4 months back here on the channel in the past broadcast on Twitch, and I would be working on actually putting it up, because that's the lamest game of them all, of all history of Age of Mythology. You won't really see a lamer game than that. That's really one of a kind. One of a kind, and one in the history of the game. Anyway, moving back to this one, as he's moving and killing, of course. Shelty, careful. You're gonna be losing even the lion. So goodbye, animals. He's going to be moving into the giraffes, of course. And already scouting on the left, trying to kill at least. Well, not really kill. He's going to be at least disrupting him. But otherwise, the lion could be helping quite enough to get rid of this guy. He's going to be just too close, as Shelty is already inside his base and might be advancing into the next age in some even seconds, I'm thinking, as already the set is having plenty of priests ready to be annoying and defending against potential enemies. Is he actually going to be coming here? Uh-huh. Well, bold, that was nice, quick thinking. But of course, this is always the trick of having the tree line behind you, or rather between you and where you want to run. And since he's so far away, he might really be in a pretty tough moment in here. He's going to be trying to get rid of the animals, but looking at the amount of priests, I think he should be just strictly running. Animals are at 4, villages 380. So yeah, right now Shelty is even going to be giving up on that, even though he could have been potentially catching up with the villagers. He just didn't want to do so. He was sufficiently happy with one being killed and then bolt also being used. Even though on the Pharaoh, so kinda sucky. But of course, Seth doesn't mind all that much because he's all about the aggression. So if he dies in service of his god, it's going to be fine for him. So Odysseus and Jason, as he's going to be moving forward, he should be just right off coming back. Because there's not going to be any kind of extra threat, because of course opponent is gonna go for... Ooh, maybe not heroic. Maybe it's gonna be classical fight. That's interesting. Very unusual. But looking at those pieces, it really kind of figures that he might be wanting to go for it. Should be definitely picking up the relic. But he probably doesn't have Hands of the Pharaoh yet, right? Seems so. As right now, there's going to be a bit of a shootout between heroes, apparently. I'm kinda confused, really, why isn't he going back? Yeah, he right now is, finally. Finally, that would be a pretty big mistake, and, Shelty should have taken that, but he didn't have the Pharaoh, he doesn't have Hands of the Pharaoh, so of course he couldn't. That was fairly unfortunate, but it's of course gonna mean that Hagrit right now is gonna be having one hell of a raiding. Because those guys, they see absolutely nothing. You can see they're having just 8 line of sight, and it's gonna jump into almost a double at 14. And that's just a huge amount. That's basically 5 less than the archers. And the archers already see quite a lot. So a pretty big advantage for the raiding. And well, Hippicons are just gonna see a whole ton. A whole ton indeed. So of course this is going to be kind of safe base, as he's already building plenty of barracks units. For a bit of defense, as you're expecting that maybe there could be some faster heroic, but apparently not. After the early aggression, and hoping that he could be actually fighting against this. Well, looking at the map, to be completely honest, I'm thinking that he would really do well to advance into heroic sooner rather than later, because he will need to somehow control the map through mid-rolls, as the gold is not in great positions. Right now it's going to be fairly easier for Hagrid to control those golds on the right, which are closer to him. And without any kind of user god power, the animals are just like if they weren't there against normal units, and the Greek units, especially when they get medium, such as going to be strictly better in every aspect that they could possibly be. Well, they're just careful, as of course the spearmen with 5 speed are damn fast. Damn fast indeed in the battle in here. And well, trying to catch them, but there is the tower, of course, so a bit of a tower hopping definitely gonna help, as at least Hagrid is gonna be using, rather, is gonna be losing the tower, which is nice thinking by Shelty, because it will potentially open, for example, the tree line, maybe even the gold, if he goes to the next tower at the bottom to take it down, and defense is gonna be getting quite a lot more difficult for that player. But well, so it's gonna be getting difficult, the defense for Shelty, who is right now moving ever forward. Ever forward, trying to get rid of the towers exactly the same. And the other towers, this is inconsequential. Second one is nicely protected. And this sucks as well. Yeah, this was basically the only important tower, which will open the way for Hagrid into Shelty's base. And that's very important, even though the gold is nicely protected, even through this walling. This is basically protective walling by the barracks in there. It's still going to be all about those 2 gold mines. And if potentially Shelty will be able to gather the one from the left, because I don't exactly think that Hagrid will be leaving the right side anytime soon. We're already leading by about 200 points. So his economy seems to be quite good, as he's even switching, or rather switching, going to be moving from the giraffes probably into the berries sometime soon. There's still a dead giraffe, but that's probably almost decayed, I would be thinking, getting rid of the next tower in there, so that he is having a free reign, basically going into this middle. And this is potentially gonna be an issue, because he's gonna be running out of all those goats, and he doesn't have extra food anywhere else. Potentially some unsafe monkeys on the left, which is not really viable anymore at this stage. And if he was gonna be switching into farms, there's gonna be plenty of them. And does he have enough gold for that? I'm not that certain. He's gonna be running out here pretty soon as well. He's already down to 1000. And right now this was probably a bit of a move by Shelty to try and see if he can somehow get those gold mines under control. Well, yeah, let's see about that. Because of course Hagrit is still having to fight against all of those spearmen. So it seems like that basically... mediums. That's gonna be changing the battle a bit. And to finish my thought, that Hagrid is not really having that much of an advantage as I would be thinking, because he should be having much more of a pressure on his opponent. But Shelty is having just plenty of army right now, punishing his opponent at home, keeping the Hippicons in there, and that means that he is not having enough reinforcements at the top, and that means that Shelty is pushing forward, and for the very crucial goal. So unfortunately for Hagrid, he wasn't able to out-control the opponent, and that means that Shelty is right now going to be catching up on the score. Yeah, he was losing by about 300 points, right now it's just 100. So he's definitely catching up, and with this gold basically secure for him. Yeah, well, it's looking like that's gonna be tricky. Well, should be seeing it. They are. So villages yet again gonna be raided, and I'm kinda thinking that maybe even Shelty is preparing for the heroic age already. I wouldn't be really surprised at all, even though there's of course gonna be downtime a bit, at least a bit of it, because of transitioning into the farms. But village is deadish, and right now totally dead, even with the Hippicons coming back, and that's gonna be a pretty bad engagement for Shelty. Oh, pretty bad, he still does have some rather bit of them. Spearman in there, but still nothing really all that huge, and he was able to much more importantly get into a good fight with Restoration. That's very nicely cast. Very nicely cast indeed in here, and that's gonna result into good battle for Hagrid. And right now defense from Shelty, so unless Shelty is actually really getting into the heroic age, he still might be losing the gold in there. Shelty? No, he's not going heroic, but Hagrid is. Oh well, Hagrid is most definitely coming heroic. Hagrid is going to become heroic, and that means that Shelty is going to be in pretty deep problems. He's even recognizing that, going for the watchtower in there, but it's definitely not gonna be enough. Heroic age, what could it be? What could it be from the Zeus? Underworld Passage. In the battle that he's right now in, I'm kinda thinking that maybe it could be better to go for bronze. Because the spearmen are kinda problematic, and if he can get enough Hippicons cast bronze on them, he's just gonna be getting rid of all of this without all that much of an issue. So that might really be better option for him, and I would definitely like to see yet again a few Hydras here and there. Now they are quite a good unit, but at this stage I don't really think that on Oasis he's going to be having enough food to actually produce them. Usually the Hydras are much more common in maps with high hunt, which is not the case in here, as he's switching into all of this, switching also on the gold on the left. And has he already discovered all the TCs? Well, he knows about this one, and looking how he's scouting there, I'm halfway expecting Underworld Passage from him. So Apollon, almost looking like he might be having some kind of thought of stealing it for himself. But unfortunately for him, he doesn't have Ceasefire, which is kind of interesting choice, to be honest, that he went for actually Athena. So would be like kind of interested in the logic in there. But yeah, he's coming for Apollo, and he's probably gonna be trying to steal the TC, which will be tricky. Because Shelty doesn't have easy access to it due to the tree line. Those villages, if he was trying to somehow counter that, plenty of idols in there on the expired gold, he would have to walk all around, which will give all the possible time to Hagrit, of course. Okay, well, nice division of army by Shelty. He was basically trying to make, or rather trying to force Hagrit into a mistake, which he did. Because sending 5 Hippicons against 5 Slingers, that's a bit of an overreaction, of course, but he is chasing him anyway. So it was worth it, and Hagrid will be having a bit harder time getting rid of the army, which will result into Shelty having a bit more units left when he escapes. So right now we're going to be desperately waiting for actually heroic age from Shelty. He is already preparing for that with some barracks in there. I would definitely be at this point liking some extra walls, because he needs to protect this at all costs. He's already built two extra towers in there. So yep, right now Minotaur being built, but unfortunately that's not going to be good enough, as the ancestors are going to be coming up, and only Odysseus against all of the slingers that are not present. But yeah, right now he's going to be recognizing the impossibility of the situation because of the towers. And this is well played by Shelty. Bit by bit, taking the gold, taking this and that. And Hagrid right now getting the second TC. That was the back one, unfortunately. Would be expecting that he would be a bit more adventurous, but he isn't. As the battle is coming up, and depending on how it goes, it's gonna be responded to by the ancestors. Seems to be going alright for Shelty. Probably won't need the ancestor because of the towers. But he's definitely choosing a very wrong spot to fight. He should have definitely lured his opponent next to the tower, at least so that he is under the fire of this one all the time. The battlefield wasn't well chosen by Shelty, and that's the reason why he's actually falling back. And right now, if he's actually forced to cast the ancestors, not great. Not great. If he wanted to cast them, he definitely should have cast them earlier. But yeah, I think he chose correctly not to cast them and hope to defend this, because you can see that there were heavy losses by Hagrid. It was kinda... I don't exactly think it was a wrong engagement by Hagrid. It was a good battlefield for him, just one tower shooting intermittently and whatnot. But he probably didn't really estimate properly the reinforcements that are going to be coming for him, because there were like none. They are just now coming into the battle for him. Yeah, it seems to be alright. Heavy spearman with no extra upgrades. For the opponent, normal hoplites, normal toxotai, and hippicons with just the belt of Argus for the battle line of sight, of course. And even Oracle. Well, they're just gonna be looking all across the map right now. You can see they're having 21 hippicons from 8 to 21. Well, that's one hell of a line of sight, isn't it? 32, wow. 32 for this one. It's like the whole map, isn't it? Like whole screen. 32, that's really quite a bit of line of sight for him. It's quite a lot as right now they are retreating back. And where is actually... Oh! Shelty made a tactical mistake. Why did he actually do this? I don't really understand the logic all that much. He was thinking that Hagrid was not going to be having enough army yet. But that was kind of folly. That was definitely folly, because of course right now he's going to be losing the gold because of it. Even though he's going to be effective at Radiant a bit, because Hagrid kinda was too late to wall up. And he did take the front DC, so potentially he can get some idols that are just apparently having some bit of a love story between them into the gold. So he's kinda fine on that regard, but otherwise, this was heavy misjudgment by Shelty. And he's going to be paying for it quite significantly, because right now Hagrid is having pretty good map control through all those manticores. They are pretty strong in here. But unfortunately, he doesn't have strong archers. The Toxotai are not even researched, so the priests are a bit of a problem, as he cannot get rid of them at all. No, just don't, Hagrid, please don't. Just run away, this is not a good battle for you at all. As the spearmen are just going to be running around, scouting a bit. Even Hippospits are going to be made to counter them, as all players are 3 TCs, with Hagrid though having quite a bit of an advantage, even affording a bit of idle time in there. So, economy, Bowsaw, Shaft Mine. Yeah, a bit more villages than this mine can actually handle, because he actually placed it a bit too close to the mining cave. You can see there's no room between it. They cannot even fit there, apparently, it seems like. Maybe they can, but they are kinda lazy. Well, Shaft Mine and Ducks. Not really Bowsaw in there yet, but irrigation at least is present. As of course right now Migdo is going to be placed in here to protect, or rather prevent this gold mine and protect this one. So yep. Shelty recognizing that potentially the right side could be a bit of an issue, which it is not anymore, as the creators right now force back fully. Then it's going to be a pretty good chance for him to control the left, and it seems like Shelty will be catching a damn second breath. Yeah, this is severely underestimated so far by Hagrid. Because once the big goal actually stands, it's gonna be game over for this man, for this mine. Luckily for Hagrid, of course, he's having 1, 2, and 3. He's having still plenty of gold mines, as he's even having markets, so is he actually advancing Mythic? Well, that would be interesting. No, he isn't. He isn't. His opponent either. And how's it looking with gold? Not really all that much of it for Hagrid. Shelty is having plenty, or rather, the opposite in a way. Not much for Shelty, plenty of for Hagrid. So it's almost looking like that actually Hagrid will be, or rather, would be interested in a Mythical Age. But I don't really think that he has it in him right now. I don't really think so, as Wallen is finally coming up. Pretty important one for Hagrid, because he will need to protect this trade route from this TC, or a big market, into the TC at the bottom. And we're gonna be waiting for what's gonna happen next? I kinda think that still Hagrid should be at least faking a push through the top. Because he just needs to make Shelty make some mistake. Force him into some kind of bad engagement, exactly as he did by moving the spearman into the bottom. Even though in the long run it worked for him, it still wasn't ideal because it forced Shelty from the goal. He was not gathering from it for a bit, rather for some moment in there. And that was potentially a bit of an issue for him. The Catastropos has been lost as well next to the TC at the back, that's important to notice. Because of the power of the underworld passage. So probably Hagrid will have to make some Pegasus to cast it properly. Let's write down this push forward. Yeah, here again, Hagrid is choosing all kinds of... Both players actually are choosing kinda wrong battlefields. This is of course pretty horrible for Hagrid. Because he was fighting in here, which was even behind, or rather... after the range of town center, behind the range of town center, so it wasn't really helping him in the battle. Definitely should have been fighting right next to it. Right next to it, and well, right now he's going to be being pushed back, and of course there's going to be a pretty good chance to push a Migdol right into the face of Hagrid, and even attack this town center pretty soon. Yeah, we're gonna be looking at some, maybe elephants. I think maybe elephants, of course, once they finish with this, it's gonna be switching into siege works. For some siege towers. Yeah, a bit later, unfortunately for Hagrid. But yeah, he doesn't have apparently boiling pitch. Or what is it? Boiling oil. And that will result in some kind of attempt. And basically all those villagers not doing anything all that much. Just wasting extra resources. Unless, of course, Shelty is going to be still winning the battle. Which he seems to be. And elephants, exactly as you expected. That's going to be the answer from this DC. As he's moving forward and not. I was maybe hoping that he could be actually continuing, but with all those villagers being present, I'm just... Oh, yeah, well, that kind of sucks. No, well, coming into the wrong way. Killing even this. Oh man, it's unlucky. It at least caught a few villagers that were actually trying to kill it. But right now coming back, he's gonna be gone. And that's a huge advantage right off the bat right now from Shelty. Because of course the missing population limit for the one TC is gonna be so missing. So much missing as the villagers are right now exactly interested in stealing the TC. And yep, that's going to be a GG. And even though the game looked all kinds of interesting for Hagrid, yeah, well, it's Shelty, yet again through his patient game, who is going to be taking it and proving that Set is a good god. Well, after some questionable decisions during the game from both players, as to be said, it kinda evened out, I think, and Shelty just proved the better skill in the game and is taking it, and it's going to be leading to 1. So let's check it through post game. It's gonna be Shelty winning everything but economy. Hagrid is going to be better in that. Ever so slightly, about 2000 better it seems like, but yeah, good echo by both players. And efficiency, better for Hagrid. But what good did it to him? What good did it to him? Was he at least advancing into Mythic? Let's check after we go through some of these. Hagrid, no he wasn't. Unfortunately he wasn't. So that's the reason why he was actually resigning, because there was not any kind of chance that Shelty would be letting this game go. Alright, GG. You can see they're having actually pretty much the same. So that's 1000, or rather 400, 300, whatnot. 3000, yeah, there was a bit more difference than I initially thought. So yeah, they're having basically the same economy at the start, at the end. So, GG.